We're starting, unfortunately, with Tatum's injury. He was working on a 42-point game, but the Celtics were down 7 in the fourth when he crumbled to the floor. Left the Garden in a wheelchair. Looks like he was in considerable pain. Your reaction, Brew?
Well, it was obviously just terribly unfortunate. I was there in the building. It was nice to see, the Knicks fans cheering when he was taken off the court. But he was having that game, the 42 points, obviously, but also in the fourth quarter, he was delivering. He had 11 points. He was, I don't want to say single-handedly because, they're a team. He's not like a one-man show. But in this fourth quarter, 11 points in the 7 minutes that he played in the fourth, he was by himself trying to stave off the Knicks. Because it was Brunson, it was Bridges, OG Anunoby, all of those guys scored key buckets in the fourth quarter, and he was trying to fight them off. I think they were down 9 when he got hurt. Yeah. So I do think the Knicks, at that point, I felt like the Knicks were going to win anyway. But once he went out, obviously it was over. But here's the thing, and look, we jump on Jayson Tatum a lot. He is a legitimate superstar. He is going to be deservedly first-team All-NBA.
For the 4th straight year?
Yeah. I mean, the dude is clearly a Hall of Famer. That's not even a question anymore. But look at this, what he's done historically compared to other Celtics greats.
Oh, wow.
Last night was his 5th 40-point game. I think we have a graphic coming up. 5th 40-point game. And he did it in 121 games. So he tied Bird and Havlicek for the most 40-point games in playoff history. Look at how many more games they played. Paul Pierce is 5th, played more games. So Tatum's played fewer games than all of these legends and Hall of Famers, and he's got the 5 40-point games.
It's also striking that he's only played 40 less playoff games as a Celtic than Bird. You know what I mean? Like
because he started so young right away,
and they've always been in the playoffs.
Yep. And so, Bird has some bad playoff games. Everybody has, essentially.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it off the set. Besides like Jordan and LeBron, a lot of the ultra elite superstars have had bad games that had there been shows like this where the next day you're critiquing him, we would have been jumping. We're looking at Jokic struggle right now. Yeah. And so I do, and I get it. I see the things in this game that aren't, that bother you a little bit. But I just want to give him his props because the dude is really a bad boy. And I'm not saying that just because he's injured. You just saw the graphic, so he should get props.
So, listen, I think that, and you kind of set me up perfectly. It's a tough day for Celtics fans. And tough day, obviously, for Tatum fans, and I can't imagine how difficult it is for Jayson Tatum. If I may be the eternal optimist, before I do some kind of sober facts about where this means for them moving forward, the tiniest of silver linings is when he does come back, if it is as devastating of an injury as we fear it is, and he misses probably all of next year, it will be a total narrative shift in how he is discussed. Because I think some Celtics fans, Wild's probably the most vocal on this show, feels he has been underappreciated and over-critiqued given what he has accomplished.
Sure.
And I think when he comes back, it will be more about, you know what I mean?
Great point.
Comeback, I think everyone will be rooting for him, and it will be almost a collective trying, not that dissimilar, and you hope it is as similar as far as recovery as Durant, where Durant was a guy, people can forget it, who was picked at.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was. And
even after winning.
Right, even after winning. But once he got hurt and then came back, it was more like, oh, my God. Like, he is the same old Kevin Durant in a good way. So,
and he's so young, Tatum, he should still
you would
come
hope
back.
so.
But I think people will be pulling for him to, win a ring.
Exactly.
Non-Celtics fans.
And so do you want to do a Tatum thing before I do kind of big picture Celtics KW?
Before you do big picture, we know that he's a winner. We know that he consistently produces like your graphic. I didn't realize how much of an Iron Man he had been. And there was no real major injury if you just go through your memory I guess he's never really hurt. But to the degree at which he has played, since coming in the league, he's played the most games, 706. He's only missed 52.
And I think the first time he ever missed a playoff game was the wrist.
Yes, for the Magic.
You know what I mean?
Wow. I would not have guessed
the
that.
minutes are at almost 25,000, so it's
lot
1,500 more than Joker.
Wow.
Just one other note that I do think the Celtics are not like totally dead, but the Celtics were 8-2 without Tatum this year. I was like, oh, that's good. Yeah. The games that he would miss are all the bad teams. So even when he missed games this year, he took off Portland, Utah, Brooklyn, Phoenix, Washington, Charlotte. Yeah. Like he would, all right, I'll take this one off, get some rest. So even the games that he's missing, he's still available. Not quite Mikal Bridges-esque,
no, but
in that same league.
And it's harder to do what Tatum does than what Bridges does. That's right. You know, like as far as not that Bridges doesn't play heavy minutes, but just the
he
ask.
carries the load, yeah.
So now, I think the sobering reality for Celtic fans, if I may.
Yeah.
Every single team that wins a championship, it sure looks like they're going to win the next one until it looks like they might not win another one for years and years and years. And 2020, 2019, the Raptors, we didn't think they were going to win the next one.
I have this graphic too. You want to play with this graphic?
Well, I wasn't going to do a graphic, but sure, if you want to throw it.
Here's the list that you can.
Okay. So again, Raptors, it's to me are an outlier because we all thought they were done because Kawhi left.
Lost Kawhi.
Right.
Yeah.
The Lakers were the favorites to win the championship the next year.
Yep.
Then Solomon Hill hit LeBron in the ankle. The Bucks were the favorites to win the championship all year. And then Chris Middleton got hurt in the playoffs. The Warriors weren't the favorites, but it looked like they might be able to do it. They got clipped by the Lakers. The Nuggets, no one was beating them, and I'd give you a hard time, but they looked like no one was going to beat them. Yep. And then they just have a shocking kind of Game 7 meltdown. And within 11 months, 10 months of that, they're firing their head coach. The Celtics, yesterday afternoon, the conventional wisdom was, well, they're obviously going to beat the Knicks. You know what I mean? They were the favorites, and they the way everything was breaking. And now, Brew, last night, almost assuredly, was the last game Jayson Tatum will ever play with Al Horford. He's probably retiring after this year. It was probably the last game he'll play with Kristaps Porzingis, who has 1 year left on his deal and is potentially tradable this offseason. And it might have been the last game he played with Drew Holiday. And I think that they will just hang on to Jaylen Brown. And by the way, I'm not saying all of these guys. What I'm saying is
it's going to be a totally different team.
It's going to be a totally different team. And I think that tragically and sadly, I think they were going to, and we'll talk about it in a second, lose last night and lose this series even if Tatum didn't get hurt.
I agree with that. The game was slipping away.
You agree?
I think it's a silly narrative, like they only lost because Tatum.
Okay, all right. So that's what I thought. That's where I said you were wrong. I
was
apologize.
gone.
I thought that's what you were saying off the top.
No, the game was gone.
No, they were down 9 with 3 minutes and 4 seconds left, and the Knicks were playing great. But this playoffs wouldn't have been over. You would have come on here today and be like, they could do it. They could come back and win the series. I think you might still think they could come back and win the series. Now I believe this playoffs is over. I think next year's over. And it's just, your window is this open until all of a sudden you're in a totally new situation. And that's the reality of the NBA.
But see, I think, and you got to give obviously their front office real credit, Brad Stevens, like they'll rebuild properly.
Yes.
And obviously Tatum will still be a superstar. Jaylen Brown will still be a star. They're going to be, once he gets back fully healthy, let's say it's, 2027 or whatever the year would be, like, they're going to be right.
I agree.
We also don't, I don't want to jump, we're not doctors. We don't know what this is.
No,
I'm not willing to write off all of next year.
That's totally true.
I think that's a lot of assumptions on the Achilles.
It'll be interesting how different they look next year, too. Do they make, I mean, they won't be complete overhaul, but there'll be some changes, too.
Can I add one other butterfly effect of this?
Yeah.
Before we get to the actual game? You're right, and I'm not trying to play doctor, and
No, but it's just out there now because he was in so much pain.
But the pain to me actually speaks that, that wasn't the pain reaction usually of an Achilles, but it was the movement. Again, I don't know.
Well, look, we've seen guys look like it was over for the year, and then they're playing the second half.
And so here's
Anthony Edwards pop up.
Right.
If whatever the diagnosis is, if it is that it looks like he's going to miss a year, I do wonder if Giannis says, maybe I give it one more year in Milwaukee.
Oh,
I wonder if rather than go west where everyone is, if Boston is self-eliminated for the year, if Cleveland is just not taken seriously again, like I do wonder if the ripple effect of if the Celtics are kind of eliminated as contender for next season, what that means for a lot of things this offseason, I think is really interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
We're still waiting to hear. He had this MRI, but we haven't heard anything.
It's really weird we haven't heard anything.
As for the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, brilliant. Cat and Mikal Bridges both had 23. Knicks exploded in the second half, and this is what we were talking about, why I didn't think the Celtics could win. If you're shooting 67% for a full half, you're going to win the game. 70 points for the Knicks, 5 for 12 from 3 and 22, out-rebounding the Celtics 22-11. What did you learn about New York last night?
Well, look, I just want to say this again, and I said it last week. Nick has said it too. The Knicks are really now, this series, kind of coming into their own. Because you look at the starting five. I know their depth is an issue. They basically went 7
They have
deep
6 guys they trust.
Yeah, and Mitchell, they throw in Mitchell Robinson.
He's the sixth I'm talking about.
McBride. Yeah, they played 7 guys last night. I mean, Campaign got 5 minutes or whatever.
Took a bunch of shots.
Yeah, and he's had his moments. Detroit will attest to that. But that starting 5 is nice. Like, you legitimately have 2. You had a superstar now in Brunson. Cat is a star, perennial all-star. And then OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges can get you 20 points. They could average 20 points on different teams, and they're already close as it is. And then Josh Hart is one of the ultimate glue guy role players in the league. And now they're putting it together. They should have never been 0-10 or whatever they were against elite teams in the league. So they're putting it together. Beyond that, they have got to be, and this is for all these other teams, whether Indiana, whoever they face, if they get to the finals, they have got to be maybe the most exasperating team to play in the league. Because in these playoffs, they've shown it. They're like, I know it's New York, not Philly. They're like the Rocky Balboa of NBA teams. Like, they never die. You joked in the second game, too, when Boston's up 20, and they're waiting for the Knicks to feel like, we got our split in Boston, we're going to give up and go back to home and get 2 games. And they never did, and they came back and won. They were down 14 in the third quarter, and I get it that today's NBA, you can come back easier with the three-point shot, but still, playing them, the opponent, you have got to be like, my goodness, are these guys ever going to go away? And then, Nick, finally, on top of that, they're clutch. So you got a team that never quits. And then if they can get close to you, you're in trouble. Because, look, at this graphic, it's not just Brunson. He's the number 1, obviously, in the clutch player. But Bridges, this is the series fourth quarter scoring. And Bridges has been great.
Mid-range that you love.
The mid-range, I love it. Young boys, mid-range. But look, Brunson's got as many points almost as Tatum and Pritchard.
Yeah, and that graphic's also telling because of who's not on it for Boston. Jaylen Brown not being on it.
Doesn't look great.
And so Porzingis obviously hadn't played a lot, but still.
And, all right. Brew, that was smart big picture analysis that applies to everyone. I would like to go a little smaller to this show.
What? What'd I do?
I want to tell America's story, and then I want you to apologize to everyone. I FaceTimed Wildes during the game.
I love sport.
And this is what he says. Hand to God.
This is true.
I FaceTimed Wildes during the game. The
We're
first
winning.
words out of his mouth. Man, I really like Jalen Brunson. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I wish I could have played the Captain Easy Stance graphic over
What do you want me to do?
When was this during the game?
Celtics were winning.
Halftime.
Okay, so
here's what I want. I want you to go back in history to the last few days and not do what you did. And I want you now, since you can't do that, to say to the Knicks fans out there, you were wildly disrespectful of them as a team. You were saying the Celtics were bad because of bad luck. The Knicks were bad because the Celtics are awesome. You were banking on Tatum being great, dismissing the possibility, what if Brunson is just as good, and giving the Knicks no chance at any step.
That's all true.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I still believe all of that.
Well,
I just can hold two thoughts in my head at the same time.
okay.
This Knicks team, and this was something I know you ran into Frank Isola at the game. They were talking about it this morning. A New York team being like lovable underdogs is an odd mix. You know what I mean? You don't see it with the Yankees, where it's like, oh, it's New York.
You
It's
kind
the
of got it with the Giants and Eli against Brady's
You
play.
had
like-
it with that 99 Knicks.
Yeah.
team, 'cause
But
Ewing was
the
out.
team is just really fun to root for. And like, you can't help when it was Tatum and Brunson going back and forth. I mean, you show how good Brunson has been. Brunson has the debate on whether Jalen Brunson was a superstar, and we debated it, and you put him into club superstar.
prematurely, but now he is.
But now it feels like it feels almost silly going the other way, like to try to make an argument that Jalen Brunson isn't a superstar.
No, that would be ridiculous.
I don't think anybody
Most
would even
fourth
do that.
quarter points in a single postseason. There's minimum 8 games. Look at this list. It's insane. Brunson, Dirk, Kobe, Jordan, and Steph. Like, and he's outdoing everybody. And when he takes a shot in the fourth, I expect it to go in.
Yeah.
They are not open shots. I was like, I'm trying to yell at the TV. And I was like, oh, that's Derek White. He's our best defender.
Right.
And he's on it because Drew couldn't handle him.
Yeah, so right.
He's playing great.
So
was
I
killing
that,
everybody.
so but
I like it.
No. Listen.
I do.
Because here's the part of the series that I thought not just Kevin Wilde, just him most annoyingly, was totally discounting when it was 2-1. The Knicks hadn't played well yet. That the Knicks were the 5th best offense in basketball. I know they're coached by Tom Thibodeau, and they're the Knicks, and so you think they want to play 81-78.
Right.
That's not who they were this year. And, Dust, if we can quickly show the 3-point numbers for the series, and this is the point I was trying to make yesterday, during the regular season, from a percentage basis, not a volume basis, these teams were... I said yesterday the Knicks were a better 3-point shooting team. I wasn't lying. It's a little misleading. It was 0.1%. But they were. So during the regular season, they were almost identical. In this series, they've been almost identical. So to chalk everything up to 3-point variance when these teams...
How many do they take?
Well,
How many
but
do they
here's
take?
the
I really
thing,
don't
too.
know.
Fewer than Boston. But
The Celtics were on fire from 3 in the first half and early in the third quarter, which is how they built that lead. And then they got cold.
Yes.
Like, that's what
And
happened
all of
to
a
them.
sudden, and this is even if Tatum hadn't gotten hurt, you watched that game yesterday, and it's funny, again, NBA playoffs, the team that just won, it feels like they're never going to lose. All of a sudden, the Celtics felt a little old. It's like,
Old,
man,
you think?
yeah, Drew and Al have felt old this series, and they really miss Kristaps.
They
And
miss
so,
Kristaps.
Doesn't
like,
look like
they
miss
and
him.
without Kristaps, what you see Mitchell Robinson doing to the Celtics
He is great.
is what Rudy Gobert did to the
A little bit.
Lakers. You're playing just like the Lakers, a 6-9 and under team when you don't have Kristaps out there. And it's like, oh, this makes sense. It doesn't
basically
feel
starting four
fluky.
guards.
With that said, you've still got Boston.
Get one game. It's coming back to New York.
You really think they got a shot if Tatum is out even?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.